Assume that you can change. The first step you need to take is to pay attention to your assumptions. Assumptions are crucial. You may not be aware of your assumptions, but they have a tremendous impact on your life. An assumption is a belief regarding the reality of your life, your capabilities, your identity, where you are in the world, and what your rightful place is. These assumptions are choices. Seriously. You choose to interpret reality. They are not hardwired into you. They don't dictate that you have to interpret reality only in one certain way. You always have control over your assumptions. They might not be top of mind. They might not be obvious, but you can control them. Another thing you have going for you is the fact that change is the only constant in life. In fact, as you take this training, you're already changing. You're definitely getting older. There might be ideas that you run into that change certain things that you believe about yourself. It may change some of the things that you do. Regardless, understand that change is part of who you are. Change happens on two key levels. You can change from within or you change from outside. You have to believe that your ability to change is the key to your mindset transformation. This is foundational. If you cannot bring yourself to this, then it's almost impossible for you to adopt the right success mindset. You're just not making it happen. This is crucial. It is not an option. It is non-negotiable. Here's an exercise to help you strengthen your belief muscles. First, think about 3 examples from your past where you needed to change, and you did. Maybe one day you do not really feel excited about jogging in the morning, but you know you're gaining weight and you need to run every morning. After a couple of weeks, you finally got to the point where you are jogging every morning. Look for examples like this. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Regardless, all of us have at least 3 examples from our past where we needed to change, and we did. Next, analyze what happened. Pay attention to what prompted the change. Why do you feel like you had to do it? What circumstances were present? What was your situation like? What was the trigger or the straw that broke the camel's back? Next, focus on how you were before and how you were doing after the change. Look at the contrast. Again, most people should be able to find situations like this in their life. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It just has to be real. Look at the contrast. Now ask yourself, what do these experiences teach me about myself? Am I the person who waits until the last minute and disaster is only around the corner for me to make a bold move? Maybe you stopped being lazy and got a job because you're about to get kicked out of your parents' house. Maybe your company announced a layoff program, but they gave people a test that they should take if they want to be retained. Whatever the specific experience may be, pay attention to how you responded to those challenges. Did you wait until your back was against the wall before fear pushed you to make a decision? Or did you want certain changes all along and situations just pushed you? This is the difference between a reactive and a proactive person. There is no right or wrong answer. Either you're born reactive, which means you are motivated primarily by fear or loss, or you are a proactive person, one who is motivated generally by gain. Regardless, if you are a reactive person, dwell on what you can lose in your life if you don't push yourself to change. If you are proactive, focus on how much better your life would be and how awesome it would be to experience your dreams if only you allowed yourself to change. Failure is not to be feared, but prepared for. It's really important to make sure that you understand that setbacks happen. People fail all the time. If you think about it, it's not that big of a deal. It may seem like a crushing setback. It might even appear like some sort of humiliation. But in the big scheme of things, failure is part of the human condition because it happens all the time. Believe that setbacks happen. Instead of fearing it or wishing it away or constantly asking yourself, why me? Expect it and prepare for it. According to Thomas Stanley's book, The Millionaire Next Door, the average American millionaire has gone bankrupt at least 3.5 times. Let that sink in for a second. You know how crushing bankruptcy is. You know how humiliating it is at a personal level. Sure, a lot of the stigma has worn off bankruptcy, but it's still a severe personal setback. Still, it didn't hold these millionaires back. They peaked, they crashed, then they rose back up. Stop fearing failure. Instead, focus on what comes next. Failure does not have to be the final point of your journey. It does not have to end there. Please don't get the idea in your head that if you're expecting failure, you want it to happen or you're wishing for it. No, these are two totally different things. When you expect failure, you understand that the probability of failure is always there. By expecting that the worst can happen, you then allow yourself to respond in such a way that you can bounce back up. Measure your success the right way. Oftentimes, we think that we fail. Oftentimes, we think that we just crashed and burned. But what happened actually was that we measured our success the wrong way. For example, if you are starting a business and you know that normally the return on capital in your industry happens after 5 years, it would be ridiculous of you to assume that you will get all your money back after 1 year. You're just going to be beating yourself up needlessly if you did that. Measure your success the right way. It may well turn out that you did not fail. You're just waiting. Fail quickly. In addition to measuring your success the right way, another way to prepare for failure is to resolve to fail quickly. I know this sounds kind of crazy, but a lot of successful people do this. They know that achieving success involves a lot of trial and error, so they experiment a lot. It's like throwing spaghetti on the wall. Eventually, one piece sticks. But before that happens, you have to be as quick as possible in throwing spaghetti at the wall and getting that pasta to bounce off. When you do this, you're figuring out a map to get success, and you're doing it quickly and cheaply. The secret to this, of course, is to fail quickly and cheaply. It must not leave any scars. It must not bankrupt you. Learn to let go emotionally. Do not let your setbacks define you. This is the number one reason why a lot of people fail. You see, just because your business venture did not produce the intended result, it doesn't mean that you have to stop. It may mean that you have to experiment or do certain things. If you can't get through the front door, try the back, try the roof, try the basement, try the side. If you can't get in today, try tomorrow, then the week after that, then the week after that. You get the point. But if you somehow think that this is the end of the world and this means that you are just a loser, you have allowed this setback to define you. It burns emotionally. It's very hard to move on. So when the next opportunity presents itself, you hesitate or you simply ignore it. Learn to let go of setbacks emotionally. They don't have to define you. They don't necessarily mean that you are a screw-up and can't ever get it together. Document everything. When you keep a journal of your efforts, you're doing yourself a big favor as far as achieving ultimate success is concerned. You will figure out why things didn't pan out in a very focused way. You will get to clearly identify what you did before, during, and after the disappointment. Now that you know this information, you can choose to do things differently. You can connect the dots. You can see patterns and conduct experiments to see if you get better results. Throughout all of this, you focus on your end goal. Just how important is documentation or keeping a journal? Well, people who are looking to lose weight report better results if they only recorded what they ate. Even if they continued to eat the same kinds of foods before and in the same amounts, these test participants still enjoyed weight loss. That's right. By simply logging what you eat, you trigger a chain reaction in your mind that leads you to eating less. The same process plays out when it comes to success. The key to success despite failure. Failure is a part of life. Get used to it. Prepare for it. But the good news is that if you only built grit, you will eventually make it. According to a research study published by Professor Angela Duckworth, grit is the secret of success. It's not being the smartest person in the room. It's not being the most dedicated and motivated person. Instead, it's all about the ability to get knocked down, but still keep on pushing forward. Regardless of how many times you get knocked down, get rerouted, or get postponed, you still keep pushing forward until you go all the way to the end. Grit is a choice. This is the ultimate coping mechanism to setback. Goals reveal your objectives and empower you to achieve them. A lot of people striving for success look at goals as afterthoughts. They think that they are just things that they need to set up on their way to ultimate success. They kind of look at them as necessary evils. If given a choice, they'd rather not set goals. They would just rather follow their passion or just do what excites them and eventually achieve success. At least this is what they think. Talk about getting it wrong. Goals are crucial for success. In fact, they're so crucial that even unsuccessful people know this. How come? Goals provide you with a map. At the very least, you can see what happens before, during, and after you achieve your goal. For you to achieve an ultimate goal, there are sub-goals that you need to achieve. You get to see the process that you have to go through, the decisions that you have to make, the results that you have to produce along the way. You can also see potential dead ends and potential detours. Goals can also be broken down into small parts which provide milestones. And once you have everything broken down, you can then apply a timeline. This pushes you to take action so that you get to a certain part of your success journey by a certain time. The big problem with goals. Goals are fairly easy to explain. They're fairly easy to understand. But the problem is, most people still don't manage to achieve them. Why? Well, setting up goals is one thing, achieving them is another. This is due to the fact that most people view goals as something that they should work for. They are optional. We can pursue them only when the time is right or when we feel we have the right resources. Most of the time, people have no sense of urgency when it comes to their goals. They don't put themselves in a position where they feel they have to do or die. In fact, given most people's attitudes towards goals, it would be safe to say that they essentially function like some sort of large-scale to-do list. This is a far cry from how successful people deal with goals. Successful people let their goals define them. Successful people look at goals in a completely different way. First of all, they start with their passions, and then they craft goals around them. For example, you are passionate about writing for a living, so your goal is to become a professional freelance writer. You start with a passion, and then you transform it into a goal that is tightly linked to your core passions. When you work towards these goals, you validate your personal values. You feel that you are expressing your true personal character. Best of all, you end up tapping your core competencies when you let your goals motivate you. There's actually an upward spiral that forms the more you work towards your goals. The more you achieve, the more competent you feel, the more motivated you become, the more you try, and the more you achieve. This spiral can go up, or it can go down. Also, when you achieve your goals, you get a tremendous amount of pride. Plus, you get the tremendous satisfaction that your goals are what you are about. So when you achieve them, you get an enhanced sense of personal meaning. You get the impression that this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what you're about. This is your destiny. When you operate from this core of passion, goals are no longer things that you should be doing. Instead, they're the things that you were born to do. They're the things you must do. See the difference? Recast your goals until they push you up and out. If your goals don't give you the energy you need to push yourself and expect more from yourself, you need to change your goals. You really do. Don't think that you have to stick to your goals just the way they are. Your goals are not set in stone. They are simply tools. Treat them like tools. First, you need to redefine your goals. What truly is at stake? Is this just a simple matter of getting certain things done by a certain date? Or is this a matter of you living up to your highest potential? Is this goal all about you pursuing your life's destiny? Recast the goal by asking yourself, what would success mean to me as a person? How does achieving this goal relate to my highest values and my value as a person? When you redefine and recast, you can then refocus. But if you look at your goal as essentially linked to the values that mean so much to you on a personal level, you can get a lot more energy. This is just not one set of things that you do on a day-to-day basis. This is what actually gives your life meaning. This is what actually gives you purpose to get up day after day. Recap. Goals must do the following. Otherwise, you need to redefine, recast, and refocus them. First, they must energize you. To do this, your goals must give you a sense of why. When you go about your goals, you gain a sense of purpose. Your life is no longer random. You're no longer doing things by accident. You're no longer doing things based on how you feel. Instead, you're doing something because this gives you meaning. This gives you purpose. Next, goals must direct you to action. They give you something to aim for. They give you something to focus on. Goals must, at the very least, instruct you. This means that you are focused on how to do things and what to do. Finally, your goals must be capable of being broken down. This is crucial because if your goal is something that is amorphous and distant or symbolic, they're not going to help you make changes. You're not going to achieve success because it's too theoretical. At the very least, your goals must be capable of being broken down into the following. You can turn them into sub-goals and daily to-do lists. That's the bare minimum. Also, make sure that when you look at your sub-goals and daily to-do lists that there are repeatable parts. So you can do them day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Look at each of these sub-goals and to-do lists and ask yourself if they're scalable. You must be able to scale them up so that improvements on one level leads to easier improvements or greater improvements at other levels. Another dimension of the right goals is the fact that they are measurable. You have to know whether you have actually achieved a goal. There has to be certain quality standards. And finally, when you're crafting your goals, you must be able to associate them with emotional states. You must be able to associate them with a sense of victory, a sense of purpose, and a sense of destiny. If that's not possible or if that's not happening, then you're doing something wrong. You're not really setting up goals. Instead, you're giving yourself a list of advisory things that you should be doing. Remember, people feel that they don't have the time, energy, or attention for things they should be doing. Instead, they focus on the things they must be doing. So your goals must be at that level. It must be one that you have to do day after day. It's as if you have no choice in the matter. The good news. The good news is that the more you achieve sub-goals, the more they become habits. Success is a habit, but for you to keep doing these things over and over, make sure all the elements I described above are present.